You're listening to the Rusted Robot Podcast, the #1 rated robot-related podcast in northeastern Ontario.
Hey everyone, just before we start the podcast, I have a quick note. This episode was recorded on Thursday, September the 28th for release on October 1st, which is Sunday, our regular release date. But it's International Podcast Day on September 30th, Saturday. So you're going to get an early release of the episode. And also, I forgot to mention that the 28th was the 30th anniversary of Star Trek The Next Generation. So without further ado, here is episode 169 of the Rusted Robot Podcast.
My name is Optimus Prime.
Hello, I am C-3PO Human Cyborg Relations.
I am Locutus of Borg. Resistance is futile.
You're like a machine underneath, right? But sort of alive outside?
I'm a cybernetic organism, living tissue over a metal endoskeleton.
You're not quite, human, are you?
No, sir. I'm an android.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
Counterfeit, facsimile, replica.
We need some sort of robot. Ah, crap! I'm some sort of robot.
What are your prime directives?
Serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law.
By your command.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 169,
dudes!
of the Rusted Robot Podcast for Sunday, October 1st, 2017. I'm your host, Josh.
That's stated.
I'm
your host, Sean. I'm here with Josh.
That's right. And we were recording this on September 28th, on a Thursday, before it comes out on the Sunday because you're away for the weekend.
I am. I gotta go help my parents.
So we wanted to get this in here and have some quality, free audio entertainment for you guys. Here we are, episode 169,
dudes!
And yeah, so lots of things to talk about actually, but we're going to start with the main topic, which is Star Trek Discovery.
Okay, so I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Which is a travesty.
It is an absolute travesty. Unfortunately, I've been very busy.
But we've been waiting 12 years for this.
Yes, well.
So you haven't had a chance. Okay, so
but you have.
I have, and it came out on Sunday. All day Sunday, all I did was sit on Facebook and do status updates about it. Oh, 12 hours till the launch of Discovery. Oh, 6 hours. Shut up, Wesley. Star Trek is almost on. You know, all kinds of stuff like that.
Okay.
And anyway, it amused people to no end, apparently, from what I found out later. So Monday, as everybody knows, I'm a mailman, and I do the business section in the morning, and so I do maybe 50 businesses.
Okay.
So I asked about 25 of the people in those businesses if they had seen Star Trek Discovery last night. And of those 25 people, most people said, no. One person said, oh, I taped it. And the other person said, oh, I forgot it was on. So I caught it halfway through. So,
all right, that's encouraging.
So Timmins does not have a lot of Star Trek fans, at least in the business section where I work.
Particularly amongst the older people, there's still the stigma.
Yes, there is. Even young people.
Young people, there's less the stigma and the more the relevance issue. A lot of them, there hasn't been Star Trek on for their entire lives.
Yeah, essentially. So, anyway, I was highly disappointed, and I didn't have anybody to talk to about this thing, so I was like, oh, man. But Monday night, I joined a Skype call for the Treks and Sci-Fi podcast, and there was about 8 of us on the show, and we talked about Discovery on that show. It came out Tuesday. I don't know if you ever listened to Treks and Sci-Fi.
I have not.
Okay. I didn't get to say much because I don't know those people as well. They're always doing Skype calls together, but I managed to get in on one. And so I had a few points here and there. But you haven't seen it. Do I give you some spoilers?
I'm not one who is spoiled by spoilers.
You don't care?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it was 2 episodes back to back. It was supposed to start at 8:30, but because CBS had a football game and they couldn't interrupt 60 minutes, it didn't start till about 10 to 9.
All right.
The power went off at 7:30, and I was highly upset.
Okay.
But it only went on for 5 minutes, so I got to watch my shows. All that being said, it starts off with the Klingons speaking in their subtitled language. Kind of cool, neat. And
how does it sound?
Klingon-y.
Okay.
It sounds like Klingonese. And then we see Burnham and Captain Georgiou on this random desert planet, and they're talking, and it's kind of a forced prologue because it sounds like they're reading a script. Like, they are reading a script, but it sounds like they're reading a script.
Okay.
Like, oh, yes, Michael, you have been with me for 7 years, and I think it is time for you to get a command of your own. So background on their relationship, but it just sounded clunky.
Okay.
But the visuals are friggin' spectacular. Very cinematic.
All right.
What else can I tell you about it? So we do that. We get the desert scene, and then we go to the ship. I'm not going to give you any story detail away, mostly because I can't remember it beat for beat. They find this artifact at the edge of Federation space, and they can't really pick it up with their sensors because there's a distortion field or something. So Michael goes into a spacesuit and flies towards the artifact. But she can only be out there for about 20 minutes before the radiation gets her and it unspools her DNA. Yeah, it was a big technobabble thing anyway. So she gets to this, she flies through the asteroid field and gets to the artifact. And it's massive, and it's all spirally, and it's got all these arms and writing on it and stuff, and the computer in the suit recognizes that, hey, there's a Klingon symbol. She's like, oh crap, it's a Klingon. All of a sudden, there's a Klingon in battle armor on the thing with her. And I think she tried to talk to him or something, but I can't remember. But anyway, he's trying to attack her. She hits the thruster suit button to get out of there, and she bumps into him and accidentally kills him with his own sword or whatever it was. And she gets knocked unconscious and flies through the space. But the best part about that, the Klingon blood, pink.
Okay.
So they stuck with that. That was nice. That was a good touch. So anyway, she's spiraling back towards the ship, unconscious, and the ship's trying to hail her, but they can't because of the interference from whatever it was. The next scene, she's in sick bay. The machines are trying to fix her and from unspooling her DNA, right? Because she was out there for too long. She has a dream about Klingons because her parents were killed by Klingons when she was 7.
Okay.
And she was raised by Sarek. Long story short, she goes to the bridge in her radiation burn thing, and she says, hey, those are Klingons out there. We got to act fast and that kind of thing, right? She has a long-distance call with Sarek, and the episode is called A Vulcan Hello. The whole meaning behind that is that when the Vulcans met the Klingons, they would always attack the Vulcans, and so whenever the Vulcans then would meet them, they always shot first until the Klingons respected them. And so that's a Vulcan hello. And she tries to get Captain Georgiou to fire first, and of course we don't fire first, we're Starfleet, but we have to, blah, 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 blah. She does a Vulcan neck pinch on the captain, tries to take over the ship, and it doesn't work. She gets fired in the brig.
All right.
Okay, so that's pretty much what I remember from the first episode. I should have watched it again to give you a recap. I hadn't realized you hadn't seen it. But anyway, second episode, there's a great big fight, and you see more Klingon stuff, and there's different houses, and there's 24 Klingon houses, and they're trying to unite them all. There's a big battle scene. All the Starfleet ships come in, and all these Klingon ships come in, and they're all getting destroyed and battle damaged. At the end of the episode, Captain Georgiou is killed. Michael Burnham is thrown into court-martial, pretty much. And that's where we leave it. We didn't see any of the Discovery. We saw Burnham and Saru. That's the guy who's engineered to smell death. They have a fun relationship where they're kind of pushing each other at the console, and so they have a nice backstory. So that was cool. The Klingon makeup is really well done. Not what we're used to at all. I don't know what the explanation is for that. I assume they're going to tell us. But the cinematography is great. The acting is top-notch. The effects are amazing. I wish you had seen it so we could debate this back and forth, because I'm sure you'd hate it. But
I'm not liking what I'm hearing.
No, eh?
No.
Now, there's a lot of mixed reaction to it, and apparently episode 3 is the second pilot, which is then we're getting... This is all the background. These 2 episodes were background, so we know where the Michael Burnham character is coming from, and then we're going to see the Discovery and so on. I don't know where they're going to take it. The main things I don't understand are, why do the Klingons look the way they do? Why the heck does everybody have a Delta Shield insignia when they shouldn't?
Because the audience doesn't realize that originally wasn't meant for that.
Right, but come on, man.
Yeah.
So do you have any questions? Anything you need to know specifically? I thought it was really great. I'm not going to give it an anything out of rivets because it's really too early to go. I need to watch it a few more times, let it sink in and so forth, see the rest of the season. And I actually heard we might not get a season 2 until possibly 2019, if we get a second season at all.
So far, your description does not...
It's not what we're used to, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
It's very different. Oh, and because when Michael Burnham was 7 years old and Sarek mind melded with her, he left part of his katra in her, and so they can communicate telepathically 1,000 light years distance. Although it is physically taxing for him. Oh, and and when she was in the brig, part of the ship got exposed to space, and she was safe in the thing, and there was like a narrow corridor where there was all the space. So there was force field here and a force field here, and she had like a place where she needed to get to anyway. And she was going to lose power in the force field in the brig. So she had to use Kirk Fu logic to get the computer to let her out of the brig so she could get to the safe space. That was an awesome scene. Oh, wait till you see it. It was amazing. She used Kirk Fu logic.
All right, I'm not feeling it, man.
Well, wait till you see it. You have to give it a chance.
I'm gonna give it a chance, but I'm not feeling it so far.
The introduction, like the credit scene, it's not a song. It's not. It's been a long road. It's a drawing. It's kind of reminiscent of Game of Thrones, but it's the shortest intro to any Star Trek series ever. The music's good, but it's drawings and it's blueprints of the phasers and the props and stuff. It's really neat. It's like a creamy color with some blues and reds and blacks. It's
okay.
It's so different. And I wasn't paying attention for the second episode, but I think they were different. I think the intros were different per episode. So I don't know if they're going to change it up every episode or what, but I have to pay more attention on the second viewing. Oh, and then they did an After Trek show where, I don't know if you've ever seen Walking Dead, there's Talking Dead, where Chris Hardwick talks about it. Well, they got this Mike Mira guy, and he's a friggin' moron. A lot of good information in the After Trek, but the host is an idiot. Everybody agrees. He's a moron. Grade A.
I don't even recognize his name.
Me neither. He was just a big bearded guy who was goofy.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
I'm not a fan of the after shows anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just watch the show. I'd rather talk to my friends about the show than...
Right. And I haven't had anybody to talk to about this except for the guys on the Treks and Sci-Fi podcast. But, like I said, if you listen to that episode, they all know each other really well, and I'm kind of a stranger to the group. So I didn't get too much involved in that conversation. But there are a lot of good points on there and speculation and whatnot. It's a lot different from what you're used to. But we've been waiting 12 years for the thing. And I'm liking it well enough. I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to watch every single episode 7 or 8 times. But
yeah, well, it's one of those things.
You're cautiously optimistic still, or you're not from my description?
I'm just cautious at this point.
Okay. Well, for episode 170, I hope you'll have seen these episodes.
Yeah, I've watched some of them at least.
And possibly episode 3.
Yeah.
So we can have a discussion on this. It's no The Orville, that's for sure.
You liking it more now?
The Orville?
Yeah.
Actually, there's an episode on right now, episode 4, which I'll have to watch later after we record this. But I like The Orville. It's totally different. The Orville and Discovery, nothing the same.
No.
Not even a little bit. One of the things that was bothering me about Discovery was, okay, it takes place about 10 years before Kirk.
Yeah.
But the Cage took place 10 years before Kirk.
Yeah.
And the uniforms are not the same at all.
Yeah.
So I've got an article here which actually explains all this stuff. So let me read this fascinating bit of news to you.
All right.
Okay, Star Trek Discovery's timeline and uniform changes explained. A new book connects the old canon to the new seamlessly. The very first episode of Star Trek Discovery, The Vulcan Hello, takes place on May 11th, 2256. This puts it 2 years after the events of The Cage, the classic Star Trek pilot episode in which Spock yelled a little more and everyone in Starfleet wore turtleneck sweaters. Because the Starfleet uniforms in Discovery look totally different from the ones from The Cage, it might seem like the Star Trek canon is messed up again. But it's actually not. A new tie-in novel, Star Trek Discovery, Desperate Hours, elegantly explains the discrepancies between the newest Trek and the oldest Trek. Written by David Mack, Desperate Hours is the kind of crossover novel that's just full-on fun. The book doesn't avoid the Captain Pike Enterprise crossing paths with the USS Shenzhou at all. It straight up happens in the first 50 pages. The book is set in 2255, meaning it's right in between The Cage and The Vulcan Hello. Spock teams up with Burnham, and Number 1 from the Enterprise teams up with Lieutenant Saru, all while Captain Pike gets bossed around by Captain Georgiou. Along the way, Mac fills in tiny details to help explain why the aesthetics of Starfleet seem so radically different between these two ships. The short answer? Starfleet tries out different ship designs and uniform designs simultaneously. What do you think about that?
That makes it not a uniform.
Okay, but there's more explanation. When Spock beams over to the Shenzhou in Desperate Hours, he makes an internal observation which not only helps explain the ship's difference, but also comments on radical design fads which occur between decades here on Earth. And it has an excerpt from the book. It was clear to him that the two ships had been designed and constructed in different eras according to very different aesthetic standards. Such drastic changes in a short span of time were not unusual among the humans of Earth, though it had proved a constant source of amusement among their Vulcan and Andorian allies. Spock's observation seems connected to architecture and interior design in real life. Does the style or furniture in an American home look the same in the 60s and the 70s? So apparently old school uniforms existed side by side with the Discovery uniforms. When a security team from the Enterprise and a team from the Shenzhou team up on an alien planet, an officer from the Shenzhou named Gant makes an insightful observation about the differences between what everyone is wearing. Gant and his team from the Shenzhou wear dark blue Starfleet utility jumpsuit uniforms with black trim, while the Enterprise team sported pale gold or light blue jersey over black trousers, a new uniform style that so far had been issued exclusively to the crews of Starfleet's vaunted Constitution-class starships. So that's the big difference. And of course there are precedents in real life and in Trek before, and the article goes on to say, while a lot of this retcon might feel a little ridiculous, it's not crazy to think that in the span of 3 decades, a spacefaring organization could make a lot of design changes. The spacesuit of NASA's Mercury program looked pretty different from the Apollo suits, to say nothing of the various styles of the Space Shuttle flight suits. And the Space Shuttle itself creates a nice metaphor for the differences in Trek ships. Though a sophisticated and multi-purpose spacecraft, the shuttle no longer flies now. In its place are the smaller craft, which to a time-traveling historian might look a little less sophisticated than the space shuttle.
Okay.
And it goes on to say, Star Trek had more than one uniform style existing side by side in other decades. During the Deep Space Nine era, the black jumpsuit seemed to be the uniform of choice for a crew on spaceships, while crews of starships continued to wear the more colorful Next Generation pattern. But by the time the film Generations rolled around, we saw the crew of the Enterprise rocking both uniform styles at the same exact time, which means we could get a mixture of Starfleet styles at some point during Discovery 2. So that's how they explain it in the book, that the old style uniforms from the 60s were actually new for the Constitution class ships, and the lesser ships had the jumpsuits. So that's a book, but it's tie-in canon apparently.
It's a stretch.
It is, but it explains it nicely.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It explains it.
Yes.
It doesn't explain it nicely.
Maybe not nicely, but it fits.
Yeah, I'll give it that. But it's not nice.
But you know what it is? This show is filmed in 2017, not 1966. So it can't look like crap or nobody's going to watch it. So they have to update the aesthetics. And if they have to explain it away in a book, let them. I don't care. I'm good.
See, okay, the difference between next-gen uniforms and DS9, they're close. And then you had a similar cut with Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
Playing with the design, that's fine. Even different divisions. You're an exploration division, you're a starbase division. Cool. You didn't have to make it the same, but make it close. We see in the show lesser ships in the original series.
That's right.
And they're wearing the uniform.
Yeah. In the battle scene between the Klingons and the Starfleet crew, we didn't see any Constitution class ships. It was all lesser ships. I was hoping to see something, but they did throw out some cool names. Like there was the Jaeger, and there was one that took me like 3 days to figure out. It was the Toplanahoth. You remember that name?
No.
Star Trek 4, where Spock's at the learning computer, and the computer asks him something about Toplanahoth. I can't remember what the computer asked him exactly.
Computer, resume testing.
Who said logic is the cement of our civilization with which we ascend from EKS using reason as our guide?
T. Planahoth, matron of Vulcan philosophy.
Correct.
But that's where that name came from. It was so obscure, but I recognized the name. I'm like, why do I know that? It took me like a good day or two to. I'm like, oh yeah.
All right.
So a lot of little throwaway Easter egg type things, and they talk about General Order 1, and Georgiou calls Burnham Number 1. So there's little things like that.
That seems less. Some of that is, it's genuine. That's genuine, just grabbing stuff from the lore and putting it in. Yeah. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Other things seem like pandering.
What do you mean? Like what?
Why does he call him Number 1?
Well, that could just be a thing, right? It's what you call your number 1. So why not?
Except that's not a common phrase even amongst command staffs. It just seems odd. We got to give them something common, something that they'll recognize instantaneously.
Yeah, so they talk about General Order 1, which is, of course, the Prime Directive.
Yeah.
They call her Number 1, which is a reference to Majel Barrett's character. They talk a lot about Kahless, so they bring up that a lot. They mention the planet Donatu 5, and that's the planet that was referenced in The Trouble with Tribbles. And, of course, Sarek's in it, so that's a reference to the old series as well. Lots of just little touches here and there. So it's a lot of fun, and there may be things that you take issue with, but it's definitely worth watching. I liked it. I can't wait to see what you say on next week's episode of the Rusted Robot Podcast.
All right, so we're gonna have to move on.
Yeah, you haven't seen it, so I can only talk about it so much without any any kind of give and take here because you haven't seen it. So
yeah.
So we'll talk about other things, and there are a lot of things to talk about.
All right.
Okay.
If you are loving this podcast, you should tell a friend about it.
Spread the word about podcasts you think they would enjoy. There's something for everyone, from entertainment and lifestyle
To news and politics
and more. Share it on social media. Believe it or not, some people don't know how great podcasts are,
or even how to find and listen to them.
You can help change that with a click. Tell your friends about your favorite podcast.
Thanks for spreading the word.
So the big news from today, and actually I'm glad we're recording this on the Thursday because there's so much to talk about. I don't think we'd have to do 2 podcasts worth if anything more happened in the next 2 days. So the big news is that Hugh Hefner has passed away.
Ah.
Do you know who that was?
Yes, I am male, and I live in North America.
So yes.
I know who Hugh Hefner is.
All right. Hugh Hefner, the American icon who in 1953 introduced the world to Playboy magazine and built the company into one of the most recognizable American global brands in history, peacefully passed away today from natural causes at his home, the Playboy Mansion. He was surrounded by loved ones. Yeah, and if you had Facebook, the memes that are going around of how he can't be possibly in a better place because he lived in a better place, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He was 91 years old, natural causes. He was often referred to as Hef, and he passed away at the actual Playboy Mansion, his longtime home, and it was actually sold in August for $100 million, but a stipulation in the deal allowed him to live there until he died. He was born on April 9th, 1926, to strict Methodist parents, and he served in the Army during World War II for 2 years before going to work at Esquire as a copywriter. And why is this important to us? Because Stan Lee was mistaken for Hugh Hefner in one of the Marvel movies.
Or you can just say that he's Hugh Hefner.
Yes, I could. And he brought us boobs.
Yes.
So there's that.
Whole generations have been seeing his work.
Well, yeah. Like the magazine's been going for 65 years, roughly.
Yeah.
So that's not
bad.
bad.
The passing of an icon.
Yes.
It's really sad.
It is.
But one cannot say he did not have a good life.
This is true. I got another death for you.
Oh, jeez, who are you killing now?
I didn't kill him, and you've never heard of this individual. But the article says, one of the last remaining Manhattan Project scientists has died, and with him perhaps our nuclear sanity. Murray Peshkin, one of the last known surviving Manhattan Project scientists, passed away last week after a years-long battle with heart disease. He was 92. He went to work on the Manhattan Project when he was still a physics student at Cornell. He was just 18 years old when a physics professor pulled him aside and asked him if he would consider joining a top-secret and highly patriotic effort that he himself knew almost nothing about. Because it was wartime and because he sensed the gravity of the ask, Peshkin said yes on the spot. He ended up working under the likes of Enrico Fermi and Edward Teller at Los Alamos, crunching the numbers that would help pave the way for Gadget, the first atomic bomb. He passed away as well.
Well, that's sad. Don't know him.
Never heard of him, yeah.
But there's lots of people in that project that you've never heard of.
Of course, because it was top secret.
Exactly.
Right, so not surprising.
So, anytime we lose a great mind, it's terrible, because that lowers our average IQ by a few points.
It does.
Sad.
Yeah. But, on the bright side, remember how in previous episodes I've referenced Robert J. Sawyer?
Yes.
Hi, my name's Robert J. Sawyer. I'm an award-winning science fiction writer, and you're listening to the Rusted Robot Podcast. Don't forget to follow them on Twitter.
Well, he won big at the 2017 Aurora Awards. The Canadian Science Fiction and Fantasy Association named the winners of its annual Aurora Awards for the country's best science fiction, horror, and fantasy titles at a ceremony in Halifax on September 22nd, in conjunction with HalCon 2017. We should go to HalCon next year.
You know what we need to do if we're going to go to HalCon?
What's that?
We're going to need some ties.
You're right. We are going to need some ties. Where do you think we could get these fancy ties from?
I heard of this place. WeAreDiaperTies.com?
I have heard of such a place as well. And if you put in promo code RUSTED, you get free shipping.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I think that is pretty good. In fact, we forgot to mention our sponsor, WeAreDiaperTies.com, on the last episode.
You're supposed to be a seamless plug, man. Seamless plug. What are you doing? Don't reference it.
Don't reference it?
It's a seamless plug.
Is it? Should I cut all this part out?
No, we're leaving this part in because now it's already ruined.
Oh, I ruined it.
Moving on.
All right.
All right.
Okay. So back to the article here about HalCon and the Aurora Awards, which I can't seem to say properly.
Aurora.
The Aurora Awards. The association also presented a special Best of the Decade award given once every 10 years to best-selling Toronto genre author Robert J. Sawyer, who also took home the award for Best Novel for his latest, Quantum Night. So that's cool. He won 2 awards, Best Novel and Best of the Decade. Robert J. Sawyer, who has been a guest on episode 13 of the Rusted Robot Podcast.
You know what it was? It was a Rusted Robot bump.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means he came on our show.
He did.
He got a bump.
Yes.
He won some awards.
He did. Good for him.
A couple-year lag.
Yeah.
And then, bam, you get the awards. So we need to get some other people on here in a couple years. They'll go, bam, get some awards.
Well,
you know what we need? We need a scientist.
Yeah.
So we can have a Nobel laureate on ours.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, we did interview Sina Grace on episode 19.
Hi, this is Sina Grace, the artist of The Little Depressed Boy, and you are listening to the Rusted Robot Podcast, which, by the way, you should be following them on Twitter and totally subscribing on iTunes.
Uh-huh. He's a comic book artist. Maybe there'll be an article about him soon.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because, yeah, that would be cool.
Yep, a couple years, he'll get his award soon.
That's right. So, the moral of the story is if you're on the Rusted Robot Podcast, good for you, and the awards are sure to follow.
Couple-year leg.
Yes, definitely. A few years lag time. But speaking of a few years lag time, the Terminator films. The first one came out in 1984. There was a 7-year lag, and the second one came out in 1991. And then there was a bunch more, which we don't talk about.
Well, we talk about them.
We talk about them. We do. But James Cameron does not, because he is officially making Terminator 6, Terminator 3, whatever it is, the sequel to Terminator 2. He's going to have Linda Hamilton in it, and the official release date has been released. It's supposed to come out July 26th, 2019.
So it's going to be Terminator 3 bracket Alt 1 bracket?
I guess. No story details?
No, go away. Done. Walk away.
Yeah?
Nothing he's going to do is going to beat the nostalgia factor of T2. T2's a fantastic movie. Holds up pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what holds it most? The nostalgia factor.
Mm-hmm.
And combining a good movie with a good nostalgia factor, doesn't matter what you produce, it's going to be terrible in comparison.
Well, I got some more stories for you after I read about this article. So, Arnold is going to be 71 years old when he shoots, and they asked, how do you get around this fact? So Cameron said, you don't have to get around it. The beauty of it is, he's a cyborg, and so the org part is on the outside, meaning organism, and Reese says it in the first film. They sweat, they have bad breath, because they were supposed to be infiltration units, so there's this idea that flesh sort of sheathed over a metal endoskeleton, so that would age normally. So obviously he's one that's been in action and operation for a long time, and that's all I want to say about the actual story.
That's what they did the last one.
I know. And
walk away.
See, the concern that I have is that his movie schedule is so busy. How is he going to have time? Because he's doing all this Avatar stuff.
He is not directing.
Right. He's going to produce it with Tim Miller.
He's an more offhands.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like you can't fall back on a trope that failed already.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's just been around for a long time. Get a new Terminator. Bring out the 805 series.
There you go.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Same interior, different exterior.
There you go. Right. So, article concludes with Cameron said of his ridiculous filmmaking schedule, the way I look at it is, I'm doing Avatar by day, Battle Angel by night, and Terminator on the weekend. I don't like the way that sounds. He's too busy doing too many things, too many hands in too many pies. Too many irons in the fire.
So is he directing any of those?
I think he's directing all the avatars. I'm not sure about Battle Angel, whatever that is.
Battle Angel Alita. It's based on an anime.
Ah.
Doesn't matter. You need to stop. You can't go back to that well.
Like Ridley Scott and the Alien films, which keep getting progressively worse?
Yeah. You either need to walk away clean.
What? Never mind all that. Your wife just got here.
Yep.
Hi, Katie.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to episode
169, dudes!
of the Rusted Robot Podcast.
Oh, my goodness glory.
Were you at your store just now?
No.
Where were you?
I took Damien to judo.
Oh, you weren't at your store?
No.
What is your store again?
It's Jump City at 229 Pine Street South, Timmins, Ontario, Canada.
The comic book shop?
Yeah.
All right. Official home of the Rusted Robot?
Yeah.
And the place where you can buy your Northern Ontario Expo Comic Con Halloween dance tickets.
Yeah.
In addition to Elfies and Wicked stuff.
Yeah.
You can also get the NOE New Year's Gala dance tickets there as well.
There's a New Year's Eve gala dance?
There is.
Hosted by the NOE?
Yep. It's a black suit and tie. Fail.
Very formal. It's going to be catered.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's only $60 a ticket. It's going to be great.
That is a very good deal.
Yeah, for a New Year's
Eve dance
that is catered and super formal, yeah, that's a good deal.
And a better deal are the Halloween tickets, which only cost $20 a person.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Both events at the Senator Hotel.
Yep.
All right. So, that being said, we were talking about movies and various things.
Yes.
Now, one of the movies that we have talked about in the past is the 1986 film, Flight of the Navigator.
Yes.
Isn't that one of our favorites?
It is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I was reading an article about it today, and I was not aware that Pee Wee Herman voiced the computer.
Really?
Yes.
You know that?
I did not know this. It makes sense now that I've read the article and recall the movie in such detail.
Just the laugh, man.
Yeah, I never placed it. It never even occurred to me. But I have an article here from Gizmodo. 80s alien abduction adventure Flight of the Navigator is getting a remake. Thanks to It and Stranger Things, it makes sense that any sci-fi or fantasy property that revolves around scrappy kids would get put on the fast track, and a new one has entered the fray, plucked from the same era that inspired those two hits, a remake of the 1986 Kids Meet Aliens adventure, Flight of the Navigator. The original film, a Disney release, is about a 12-year-old Florida kid who goes missing in 1978 and turns up in 1986, having not aged a day. The reason? Aliens, led by Max, who's voiced by Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, who end up needing his help to fix their broken ship so they can return home. So apparently after a proposed Disney version of the remake failed to launch in 2009, this new Lionsgate-made version of the film will be produced by the Henson Company, which will no doubt bring its puppet expertise in helping craft the movie's cast of alien and robot characters. What do you think of this planned remake 30 years later? I do not approve.
No. You can't. What are they going to bring that's new to the story? The story was already a period piece when it was made. Because the vast majority of the initial part of the movie takes place in 1979 when the movie was made in the 80s. So it's already a period piece.
Yep. And it's got the campy nostalgia.
Yeah.
Are they going to make it still happening in the 80s?
That they don't know.
That's no information provided.
That's all up to the movie gods.
I reserve judgment until seeing it, but I do like Jim Henson and all of Jim Henson's studios' work, so...
But I don't see what they can bring new to the table.
No, it's probably just going to be the same rehashed movie.
Like when they rebooted RoboCop in 2014. They didn't do a better job.
No.
They gave him a regular human hand in place of a robot hand, which would have been superior. There's no benefit to keeping a human hand except for creepy things.
Yeah. And they even said that in the original movie.
Should we keep his hand? No, cut it off.
Yeah.
Right, they said that.
So, yeah, no, I'm not...
Can you think of any remakes that were better than the original? There's got to be some. But I don't know. I can't think of anything offhand.
This is going to sound weird, but the Parent Trap remake was better than the original. The black and white version is really, really slow.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They've had a proposed Forbidden Planet remake in the works for years. I would actually like to see that, but...
I heard Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake is not bad.
Oh, they remake that every 10 years, 20 years.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But it's not bad, though, right?
Yeah.
The Sound News one is pretty good.
Yeah, the one with Donald Sutherland, 1978, yeah.
Let's see. There's got to be other ones that are good.
Oh, I'm sure there are. Overall, you do not approve of this remake.
I do not approve. If you want to watch Flight of the Navigators, just watch Flight of the Navigators.
Right?
The only thing that I could see them doing is you move forward with the story.
Same kid, just 30 years later. That would be excellent. Like a sequel.
Yeah.
Not a reboot.
Not a reboot.
Not a remake.
You recast the kid, obviously.
Well, you could use the same kid.
No, you can't.
Why not?
Because...
He's not a kid anymore?
He's a 50-year-old man now.
That's who we're basing the new film on.
No.
No?
The same kid goes... Max makes another mistake.
Oh, and he goes back to 86, and he brings him to our time.
He goes back to 76, Something happens, I need your help again, Duk. Oh my god, it's 2017.
So it's the same kid, character, just a different actor because he's not 12 years old or whatever he was.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're getting at.
And run the same. Now his parents are, like his brother's a grandfather, his parents are watching Fox News all day.
Right. And
just run that.
Okay, because I was thinking you'd get the same guy who played the kid 30 years ago. Now he's 50 or whatever he is, and Max comes back or something.
No, because
that would be boring. Who wants to watch a thing about a 50-year-old guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
We want to see the kid again.
All right, that's fair. Hey, did you know that on October 9th we're getting the trailer for The Last Jedi?
Yep.
You knew that?
I did.
How'd you know?
Because Star Wars news is all over the place and it's hard to avoid.
All right, that's fair. Did you know?
No.
Now you do.
Yep.
All right, good stuff. And I've got a trailer for us that is very exciting. It's the first trailer for Annihilation, in which Natalie Portman seeks out an alien horror.
Can you describe its form?
No.
Was it carbon-based?
I don't know.
Did it communicate with you?
It reacted to me.
You really have no idea what it was.
Did your husband contact you at any point while he was away? No. It was his decision to go in. Why did my husband volunteer for a suicide mission? You have to tell me where he was, what he was doing. I need to know what's inside. I could save him.
So our first look at Alex Garland's post-Ex Machina project is finally here, and it's looking fantastically creepy and filled with weird new alien vistas for Natalie Portman and her team of crack scientists to explore and be fearful of. Based on Jeff Vandermeer's book of the same name, Annihilation follows the story of a female scientist, Portman, leading a task force into the aftermath of an environmental disaster, both to find the strange creature that caused it and to rescue her husband. And guess who plays her husband? Oscar Isaac. And that is the guy who played Poe Dameron in The Force Awakens.
I like Poe Dameron.
And he was also in this guy's other film, Ex Machina. And Natalie Portman was in the prequels of Star Wars, so it's all coming full circle here. How cool is that?
All right.
So their conclusion to this article, Ex Machina was one of the best sci-fi movies in recent years, which I agree with. So there's a lot of interest writing on Garland's next writer-director venture, and everything we've heard about the movie so far sounds hauntingly mesmerizing. Plus, lady scientists kicking ass and fighting weird alien-looking stuff? Sign us the hell up. Annihilation hits theaters February 23rd, 2018.
I saw the trailer with us when we watched it, and we played it here for them. But, yeah.
Excited?
No.
What? But it's Alex Garland. He did Ex Machina.
I don't care what you did last. I care what you did now.
Yeah, but this doesn't look good?
Yeah, it looks like another Monster in the Woods story.
Oh, and that's bad?
I like Monster in the Woods stories.
Yeah, but it doesn't scream anything original. Now, it may be a badly shot, like a badly edited trailer.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten those before, where they make the movie look like one thing and when it's not. So it might be a deeper introspective thing, but this looks like a Monster in the Woods.
And you're making that sound like it's a bad thing.
You know what Monster in the Woods isn't?
What's that?
Original.
But he might make it original.
Yeah, but not from what that trailer showed.
I don't know, sometimes when they make original things, people don't like that either. Do you guys remember that weird one that M. Night Shyamalan did? That was kind of fairy tale-esque? Monster in the Woods type thing, and then it wound up getting super weird because it was about like a grass wolf.
Lady in the Water.
Yeah.
I never saw that one.
It's bad.
It's weird.
It's real bad.
Yeah.
That one is the one where he made the story up for his children.
Oh, okay. Yes, I've heard of it, but I've just never seen it.
And it's got the ramblings of a tired father telling the story to his kids.
Oh.
It's very bizarre. It's very disjointed and not super dissimilar in its weirdness to... Do you remember Beyond the Black Rainbow?
I do.
That was a weird-ass movie. That one made slightly more sense than Lady in the Water. But we still don't know what it was about.
Nope. Not a clue.
All right. So that's fair. But I'm looking forward to Annihilation. And in February, when it comes out, I'll go see it, and you're coming with me, whether you like it or not.
I'll go, but let's see a second trailer.
There's time.
Yeah. That's going to be what determines it, because, like, this first trailer, generic Monster in the Woods.
Yeah. It was more of a teaser, really.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a full trailer. I'm
getting tired of the super scientist trope.
But it's a lady super scientist.
I don't care if it's a...
Like Ripley?
Yeah, but it's Natalie Portman.
No, Ripley is a generic cargo hauler crew member. The Nostromo was just a cargo vessel.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
She wasn't even a scientist. But no, we get a lot of the super scientist trope, where he's a scientist. Okay, what field did he study?
All science. Because everybody who's good at biology is also good at chemistry, is also good at robotics.
Naturally.
So I get tired of that trope.
Mm-hmm.
I also get tired of the trope of, well, I'm a scientist, but I'm going to walk in there wielding this big gun. I was like, come on, man.
Doesn't every scientist get scientist gun training? For when you have to shoot beakers of chemicals? Actually, that sounds like a lot of fun. And a terrible, terrible idea.
Yeah, at this time, the Rusted Robot cannot recommend that you fire your weapons at miscellaneous beakers of chemicals.
In your
I think
scientific laboratory.
we should do a video podcast someday of us doing that.
We should. We totally should.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what we have?
An email?
We've got an email.
Get what we got, Mr. Roboto. It's another email. Is it from Sparky and Guns?
As a matter of fact, it is. Shall I read it to you?
I would love to hear it.
All right. Let me pull it up here. Captain's log. Damn, I always forget what stardate we are. Good afternoon, Demolished Datas. Last week was a bad week. Real talk, don't get pink eye. Good thing you're all robots, and that can't happen, though. Thankfully, Sparky is alive and healthy and pink eye free, so one of us can write the email until he goes to Florida next week and Florida Man gets him. This week, Guns wants to know, if you were in charge of one of Star Trek's episodes of any generation, what would it be about?
Okay, we know that in DS9, the Founders are timeless, non-linear entities living in the wormhole.
No, not the Founders.
Not the Founders, the Prophets. Okay. So, in episode 2, they go into the wormhole. Stuff happens.
Stuff happens, yes.
Right. So, my episode opens up, and Cisco seems to become aware that he's standing in this weird wall thing of energy. And they're like, that is what happens if we return you. So we're not going to return you, deleting that timeline completely from existence, rendering all of that meaningless, just like your life.
Nice.
End series.
That's horrible. I do not approve.
I do.
I know you don't like Deep Space Nine, but it's the most critically acclaimed series out there, so.
It's also the least Star Trek series out there.
It's awesome, though.
What would you do, Sean?
I might do a series finale redo of Enterprise. And instead of the Riker on the Pegasus episode, it would be a 2-hour-long finale all about how they battled in the Romulan War. So it would be bits and pieces. It wouldn't be the 4-year war or whatever, how many years it was. It would just be a 2-hour thing, like time flashes, leading up to the founding of the Federation. And you?
Well, even though I could do like you guys and delete the parts that I hate the most, like the end of Voyager, I would choose to do Star Trek The Next Generation Broken Holodeck episode.
There's a million of those.
I know.
Okay.
And I need just more. Because they're my favorite.
Really?
Yes. They're my favorite episodes. If nothing else, like if I had nothing else to watch on TV and it's just like a bunch of Star Trek reruns because at one point you could watch Star Trek at any point during the day.
Yes.
If it was a rerun, but it was a rerun of the holodeck, broken down holodeck, can't escape, safety protocols are off, somebody's stuck in the holodeck, somebody won't come out of the holodeck, somebody who is a hologram has left the holodeck even though he shouldn't be able to.
And is taking over the ship, yeah.
Yeah, those are my favorite episodes, and I would watch them anyway, even if I'd seen them 100 times.
And you would make another one.
Yeah, I would make another one.
That's funny. Those are my least favorite episodes. I don't like them at all.
Why are we friends?
Because it doesn't matter what episodes we like.
I have an alternate.
All right.
I would make a new movie set in original series.
Okay.
None of the cast will be on it. It would be following the KOTOR.
What's that?
It's a Klingon command ship.
Okay.
As it begins the Great Triple Hunt.
Nice.
Just do an entire comedy movie, Star Trek, of the Klingons and the Great Triple Hunt.
That sounds awesome. They could write a holodeck episode about it.
Sparky wants to know, who is your least favorite original series main crew character and why?
Bones.
Really?
I love Bones.
No, your least favorite.
Oh, he's my favorite.
No. Which one do you not like?
Oh, I was not.
Main crew?
Yep, main crew of the 7.
Of the 7.
It's hard, right? I don't think I have a least favorite.
It's a toss-up.
But they're all great.
It's a toss-up between Chekhov and Kirk.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have said Sulu and Chekhov were the least favorite.
Sulu is awesome.
He is.
Period.
But you can't get rid of Kirk.
Oh, yes, you can.
He's the most entertaining to watch.
He's the...
If you got rid of him, you would have Star Trek The Next Generation.
You know what? I think, you might be right. Because if I'm going to think of my top 3 favorites, it's McCoy, Spock, and Scotty.
Exactly.
So...
Can't get rid of those guys.
And you can't get rid of Uhura.
Can't get rid of Uhura.
She's awesome.
She's awesome.
So you got Chekhov, Sulu, and Kirk. And
Sulu's awesome.
Sulu is kind of awesome with his shirtless sword fighting.
Yes! That is the great part.
And-
He's just
and-
running
and-
down the
and
hallway
his-
screaming and flailing.
Gertrude hand plant in the 2nd episode or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So Chekhov or Kirk.
Chekhov and Kirk.
Right.
Aww.
Right.
And you know what? Kirk? I think it goes to Kirk.
It might be. Kirk might be the least.
Because Kirk caused almost as many problems as he solved.
Okay, well then, can he be our least favorite, but also be the reason why we watch because he causes all the problems and he's hilarious?
I'm not saying I would get rid of Kirk.
Oh no, it's
but
just
if
like,
I am given a choice between the main 7, who would I get rid of? I'd get rid of Kirk.
Do you mean like if you were on the ship or if you were the director of the show?
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah. Best episodes are the ones where Kirk's not there.
Like the Galileo 7 where it's Spock on the planet with the big hairy guys.
And the one where it's Kirk's sucked off into time with the Tholian web.
The Tholian web, right. You know what? You're right. Star Trek is better without Kirk. Holy crap. I think we just found something.
I like watching all the trouble he
I
gets
enjoy Kirk. I'm not saying I'd get rid of him from the show.
Yeah.
It's just given a choice between the 7.
He's the least favorite.
Like, if I was on the ship, I'd rather not be on a ship with Kirk.
I would get rid of Nurse Chapel if it wasn't any other named crew member. Nurse Chapel or Yeoman Yates.
Yeoman Rand?
Yates.
Who's that?
The blonde one.
That's Yeoman Rand.
No, Yates.
All right.
The other blonde one.
Okay.
They're both blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the 60s.
And they're basically the captain's secretaries, so they're attractive, young, and blonde.
Yeah.
I think it's Yates. Like, now I'm down myself.
I have no idea. Email goes on. Thanks again, Rusties, for the podcast. Hope you have a good week and keep on trekking. Space, the final frontier. These are the emails of Sparky and Guns. Their 5-year mission to explore strange new podcasts, to seek out new animes and new geek cultures, to boldly go where no listener has gone before.
That's great.
Alright, so, I got some anime recommendations that I've been watching. Since last we gave some recommendations, I've checked out a few new ones. One of the ones I checked out is In Another World with My Smartphone. It's a funny OP main character, fish out of water harem story. So anybody that follows the anime tropes, that they'll know what those mean. And the other one is Monster Musume.
Mm-hmm.
Everyday Life with Monster Girls.
All right.
The first one is good for all ages, with a slight mature bent.
All right.
Monster Musume is definitely mature.
Okay, so be warned.
Yeah, it's harem, ichi, bordering on light hentai.
Okay, and what is hentai? I've seen that in the description. Is that like
that's
cartoon porn?
That's porn. So yeah, it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
don't watch it with your kids.
Don't watch it with your kids.
It's a cartoon, but not really.
Well, no, it's anime.
That's what I said.
So yeah, those are my two recommendations. I've checked out some other things and skip that. These are the two that I've watched, and I've watched actually all the ones that are currently available. So those are my two anime recommendations for you guys, Sparky Guns.
All right, sound great.
Yep.
All right. So for next week's episode, your homework is to watch the first 2, possibly 3 episodes of Star Trek Discovery.
Yep.
So we can have a proper conversation about it, and have some. I'm going to watch it again as well, and there'll be another episode of The Orville out by that point.
Yep.
Maybe 2, because there's tonight's and next Thursdays, and we should be back to recording next Saturday, I believe.
I don't see any problems with that as of this time.
Okay, sounds good. So, once again, Rusted Robot listeners, this has been episode 169, dudes! So, thanks for coming by. If you wouldn't mind sharing the links with your friends on your Facebook and your Twitter accounts, that would be great. Trying to build our audience and take over the world. Listen to the end credits for all the ways to get a hold of us. And remember, good people disobey bad laws. If you'd like to contact the show, email us at therustedrobot@gmail.com. Our website is therustedrobot.podbean.com. On Twitter, we're at therustedrobot. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Darth Vaderloo. We'd be honored if you would review us on iTunes and like us on Facebook. If you'd care to support the show, there's a PayPal link on the website, or go to patreon.com/Darth Vaderloo. Please check out Jump City at 229 Pine Street South in Timmins. And as always, if you like what you heard, let us know. But most importantly, tell your friends about us. The Rusted Robot Podcast. Think about it.
I can do this all day.
Before Star Trek Discovery forces you to boldly subscribe where no one has subscribed before, celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Star Trek spin-off that gave rise to the ultimate nerd question: Kirk or Picard?
Engage.
Star Trek: The Next Generation. Your dad loved the original Star Trek's mix of campy aliens, cheesy dialogue, and Razzie-caliber acting. Now, get ready for the original series' geeky younger brother, featuring new aliens, more complex stories, and acting that's way better than Star Trek deserves in this kinder, gentler sequel, where crew members discuss their feelings, celebrate each other's cultures, and fight with their words, not their fists.
I hereby formally request third-party arbitration of our dispute.
You have the right.
Furthermore, pursuant to subsection...
Oh man, being civilized is boring. Warp into the 24th century with an all-new USS Enterprise, an awkward hybrid of cutting-edge space battleship, and a Marriott Convention Center.
Members of the Archaeology Council, I want to tell you about my detective story.
And meet an all-new crew. Counselor Troy, an empath who can always tell when someone's lying, except when she can't.
What do you think?
It's hard to tell. I sense nothing.
What is it?
I don't know. Something...
Geordi LaForge, a blind engineer who's here to say tech words.
A cosmic string emanates a characteristic set of subspace frequencies as atomic particles decay along its event horizon.
Worf, a warrior who never runs out of Klingon fun facts.
Klingons do not laugh. Klingons do not surrender. Klingons do not procrastinate. Klingons do not allow themselves to be
probed.
Lieutenant Commander Data, an android who drops being an android into conversations, like your friend who just became a vegan.
Why do you have yellow eyes? I am an android.
You're not human.
I'm an android.
You sound like you don't want to be an android.
I am an android. I'm an android.
Will Riker, the horniest first officer in the fleet, who's never met a woman, hologram, co-worker, amnesia-stricken crew member, or genderless androgynous alien he didn't want to bone.
Commander, tell me about your sexual organs.
Dr. Crusher, who's just kind of there most of the time. Her son Wesley, whose genius is matched only by his skill at irritating people.
I know this may finish me as an acting ensign.
Shut up, Wesley.
I don't think this is my style. Shut up, kid. May I point out that...
Shut up, Wesley.
Everybody needs somebody.
Enough!
And Captain Jean-Luc Picard,
Make it so.
the most British Frenchman in the galaxy.
Tea Earl Grey, hot. Excellent tea. Good day, ladies.
Watch world-class actor Patrick Stewart remain fully committed to his dialogue, even when the writers clearly fell asleep on their keyboards.
Klaxon Ries Blajblanarnik.
Jelajnish. Kit Ket Jagnijaj.
Kajab Ruditjong. Lawakium Gia Klaus Kimha. Trasula.
You remember the Romulans, Klingons, and Vulcans from the original series. Now, get ready for all new species, with all new ways to glue prosthetics to people's faces, like the best Star Trek villains ever, the Borg.
Resistance is futile.
The Ferengi, literal buttheads in serious need of a dental plan. Q, an omnipotent trickster with a serious man-crush on Captain Picard.
Morning, darling.
And the Kardashians, omnipresent leather-skinned tyrants bent on galactic domination. I'm sorry, what's that? Oh, sorry. And the Cardassians, omnipresent leather-skinned tyrants bent on galactic domination. Not sure which one I prefer. Journey to a sci-fi utopia where poverty, racism, and war are things of the past. And forget the original Star Trek's miniskirt boys club.
She does a good job, all right. It's just that I can't get used to having a woman on the bridge.
Because on this Enterprise, the future is woke.
Klingons appreciate strong women.
We no longer enslave animals for food purposes. I've decided to allow my child to choose its own sex and appearance.
At least most of the time. Okay, well at least things are better, right? I mean, the ladies aren't all stereotypical anymore.
I never met a chocolate I didn't like.
Damn it, Troy! So relive one of the greatest pieces of science fiction ever created, full of unforgettable moments, and a few that they wish you would forget, like the time the gang met Mark Twain.
Shame on you, Mr. Clemens, shame.
The one where Captain Picard turns into a kid.
I need to see him now! Now!
And the episode where Dr. Crusher inherits a lamp that contains a space ghost.
Dinner light that candle.
Why not?
It'll bring the ghost.
Who she porks until it reanimates her grandmother's corpse and attacks her friends.
Beverly, it's all right. You're not Nana. Nana's dead.
Are we sure this is as good as we remember? Starring original series cameos. Data Interrupted.
And what Klingons do to their children.
Data, I am not talking about parenting.
He betrayed the colonists. And would have betrayed the Enterprise as well, had I not...
Shh!
The unhatched eggs of a large scaleless...
Later, Data.
Death fake outs.
Geordie's dead. We're dead, Geordie.
We are not dead.
You're dead.
He's dead. You killed him.
Doppelgangers. Picard meme faces. That one lightning effect.
Red alert!
Palm punches. Acting.
No! You've just committed an act of utter barbarity. Not good enough, damn it. Not good enough. Anyway, I'm not much of an actor.
The Picard maneuver. The Riker maneuver.
Dr. Pulaski's being shown to her quarters. You may want to start with something like this here. You don't look like a person who came here to relax.
Something's wrong?
Counselor Troy's ill.
Okay, Morta.
Concerts. Lots and lots of concerts. Seriously, so many concerts. And Worf getting his ass kicked. Star Trek, the new class. But seriously, go back and watch the episode where Dr. Crusher bones a space ghost. It's amazing.
I had no idea I could feel this way.
We're nearly merged now. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Now family plans include Netflix at no extra charge. Another reason why T-Mobile is America's best unlimited network. Carry on, my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. I am Locutus of Borg. Resistance is futile. Helm, Warp 9, engage.
This has been a Valley of Vanderloo podcast production, all rights reserved.
This transmission ends now.